Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, The Man Crisis. Learn why so many men are struggling to find their way in an increasingly gynocentric world in The Man Crisis. Get your copy of The Man Crisis in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today.
There was a tragic mass shooting that took place in Portland last weekend. And in this incident, Benjamin Jeffrey Smith, a 43-year-old man, is alleged to have taken out a firearm and shot it into a crowd of protesters who were protesting the death of Amir Locke in Minneapolis. Now, according to reports, your Benjamin Jeffrey Smith was angry about the protests in the neighborhood and protests in the city, along with an unhoused community camp in the area. And as his anger simmered and boiled, he wound up exploding in this rage where he participated in this mass shooting. Now, the police are seeing this as an isolated incident as related to the ongoing trend of mass shootings here in America. But when I take a critical examination of the alleged behavior of Benjamin Jeffrey Smith, it fits right in line with the pattern and profile of beta males that I talk about in my book, The Man Crisis. And it's clear to me that your Benjamin Jeffrey Smith was one of these beta males who was a ticking time bomb for an extended period of time. Unfortunately, many people around him did not really notice how dangerous this man was becoming because they just did not understand what the warning signs were for a beta male ticking time bomb. Now, your Benjamin Jeffrey Smith's first indicator to me that he was one of these beta males was the fact that he spoke negatively about his father. Now, your Benjamin Jeffrey Smith is alleged to have said that his father smelled like Jim Beam and failure, basically calling his father an alcoholic. And oftentimes when it comes to your beta males, they have serious father issues and they have serious issues with male authority and male authority figures. And when a good man is speaking negatively about his father, that really is the first indicator that he is a beta male and a beta male with serious anger issues. Now, your Benjamin Jeffrey Smith also went out here and allowed a female roommate to stay with him rent-free, and that was another indicator to me that he was one of these beta males. Now, a lot of times when you're dealing with a beta male, he will oftentimes give women things for free, but he's not doing it out of the goodness of his heart. No, he's doing it out of a way to establish a covert contract with that woman so that he can hopefully eventually get the courage to make an advance on said woman. So that was the second indicator to me that your Benjamin Jeffrey Smith was a beta male. The third indicator to me that your Benjamin Jeffrey Smith was one of these ticking time bomb beta males was the fact that he was involved with the furry community. Now, your furries are a group of sexual deviants that love to dress up in costumes that are furry to participate in sexual activity. So that fits right in line with the chapter of The Man Crisis where I talk about the sexual deviancy of the beta male. And your Benjamin Jeffrey Smith had all of the tendencies of one of these beta males, but what really made him a ticking time bomb was the fact that he had gone out here and gotten radicalized by listening to a lot of information on the misinformation, I would say, on the internet. Now, what happens to a lot of these beta males when they go on the internet is that they enter these echo chambers, and your Benjamin Jeffrey Smith entered one of these echo chambers where as related to this conservative media. And as he entered this whole echo chamber as related to your right-leaning media, what he did was he got into all of the rhetoric as related to Donald Trump, all of the rhetoric as related to these Antifa people and these leftists, and he started making racist statements that were anti-Semitic, and then went out here and was talking about praising your Kyle Rittenhouse, which really showed me how this man had become radicalized over the last couple of years. Now, his own roommate expressed concern as related to Ben Smith's alleged behavior because she could see how erratic he was becoming, and she could see that there was really starting to become something wrong with him because all he was talking about for a long period of time was being angry at these leftists, and he was also sitting there talking, according to some reports, about participating in a mass shooting. So this man had been a ticking time bomb for some time, and he had been sitting there with these racist, white supremacist, and anti-Semitic views that he had been indoctrinated in. And as he was out here believing in all of this rhetoric, he started to center the next phase as related to getting into that rhetoric, which was going from presenting angry statements on the internet to going out here and participating in an act of violence. And he had been talking allegedly for some time about participating in this type of violence for some time, but sadly, many of the people didn't go out here and try to have an intervention on this man's behalf because they thought, oh, they probably weren't going to be the ones that got shot. No, they probably thought that, oh, it would probably be some black people or somebody else that would get shot, not understanding how dangerous this man was. Because when it comes to these kinds of beta males, as they sit there frustrated, angry, and simmering and boiling in anger, the danger is that you don't know when he's going to explode or what type of damage he is going to do. And that is the mistake many people make with these kinds of beta males, is that they don't really take these guys seriously as they start ratcheting up their rhetoric and start making their radical plans. Because when these guys go out here and they're making up their radical statements, this is a time to really take what they're saying seriously, because they are not just saying this to just say this out of feelings. Many of these men, they are not just looking to say things at a point. Eventually, they are going to reach the point where they are going to go out here and escalate their behavior into actual acts of violence. And that's what happened here, sadly, as related to what was going on in Portland. This man had been angry for some time as related to what he thought was leftists going out here and making a mess in Portland. And that echo chamber he was in during the Trump presidency got amplified with the lockdowns of the pandemic, which led to this man further becoming isolated. And as he further became isolated inside of that echo chamber, only listening to the information on the internet regarding race, this is what led to this man's anger going from simmering and boiling to reaching a nuclear meltdown point. And after the lockdowns came down and we had the George Floyd riots, this man's anger got even worse, because then there were the whole thing is that Portland is a leftist city filled with a lot of people protesting and a lot of different mandates, and it's a capital for groups like Antifa. So this man's frustration and anger started to further boil out, and eventually it reached the exploding point when this male went out here and then participated in this mass shooting. Now, this man was a racist and a white supremacist based on information, and many people would sit there and say, oh, this guy was not a danger to anyone, but he was clearly a danger to everyone, and he was out here talking about groups like your Proud Boys, Kyle Rittenhouse, and again, these were things that really showed me how dangerous this man was and how dangerous he was becoming, but nobody really took him seriously, and most Americans really need to start taking these kinds of guys seriously, because eventually, again, they're going to go from talking on the internet to going out here and looking to plan an act of violence to actually implementing an act of violence. Now, again, most people don't understand the dangers of these kinds of males, because a lot of people do not understand the man crisis going on here in America, and they don't understand how the man crisis can affect them until eventually they become a victim or have known one of these guys who participated in an act of violence. But there are 2 to 3 generations of these kinds of beta males out here, and they are a clear and present danger to everyone, and that is something everybody really needs to think about, because this white supremacist, he sat there for years online and then eventually went out here and took his anger and turned it into violence offline. Now, thankfully, the police were able to catch this alleged killer, and he's not going to get off like his idol, Kyle Rittenhouse. No, I believe what's going to happen to your Benjamin Jeffrey Smith is he's going to wind up getting convicted for the murder of that activist, and he's going to wind up getting in the prison with Bubba and Tiny, and possibly they're going to be trading him for ramen noodles, Little Debbie snack cakes, and cups of coffee and cans of Dr. Pepper. And when he's in that prison, he's going to realize that all of that internet rhetoric has not led to him being able to move his life forward. In fact, it has led to him winding up in prison for the rest of his life. And this is something many beta males don't really think about critically, because they take everything on the internet as true, and because they take everything they see on the internet as true, they get indoctrinated into this far-right white supremacist rhetoric, and they start believing this rhetoric to be true, not understanding that the whole thing is that these echo chambers create a place where you winding up eventually winding up in prison, and you wind up messing up your entire life. But that's what happens to your white supremacists like this, and they wind up messing up their lives, and they wind up destroying the lives of others. But the best place for this type of person, again, is your prison, because this is a ticking time bomb, and he was a ticking time bomb for an extended period of time. But I believe that the fuse was lit for this beta male back when he started listening to a lot of this far-right rhetoric. And again, this is why you have to take the internet with a filter, because this is something many beta males don't know how to do, is take the internet with a filter and not take everything that they hear as the gospel truth. And because they don't know how to take this internet with the gospel truth, they buy into this rhetoric, and this is what makes these men extremely dangerous to be around, because as they enter an echo chamber and start believing all of the hype around them, what they do is they start to believe that it's okay for them to go out here and do harm to others, and it's okay for them to hurt other people that they don't agree with, and that is what makes these men another clear and present danger to everyone. So when I look at this whole case of your Benjamin Jeffrey Smith, I see a case of a textbook beta male, like I talk about in my book, The Man Crisis. And what's really disturbing about this incident is that it shows that the man crisis here in America is getting worse, not better. And what's worse is we're seeing an increase in frequency of this kind of violence, because it's like almost every day we're seeing some sort of violent incident. And most of these incidents are not due to gun control laws, because your Portland is another city where we have strict gun control laws. This individual was registered to have a firearm that he bought legally. So this is not a gun control issue. This is an issue of the dysfunctional way we have been raising boys to become men here in America over the last 50 years. And as we have raised boys to become dysfunctional in these homes where they're raised primarily by females, what has happened is these boys do not have healthy male life skills or male survival skills, And because they don't have healthy male life skills or survival skills, they go out here looking for people to blame, like many beta males love to do, instead of taking responsibility for themselves. And that's the main reason why this beta male participated in this mass shooting, because he wanted to have somebody to blame for the state of society, and he wanted to blame all those who disagreed with him. But the great irony was, as a so-called far-right individual, he was living in a left-leaning city, and he could have easily moved out of that left-leaning city. But again, beta males don't want to go out here and do things that are convenient, expedient for them. They want to stay where it's convenient, and this man wanted to have the convenience of killing people because they were disrupting his smooth world. And because they were disrupting his smooth world, he felt he had to take their lives. And again, that course of action is one only a dysfunctional beta male sees as a solution. So that really, again, shows me how bad this man crisis is getting. And the sad part is that after this incident, many people will not really see where the real serious problem is, and that is America's ongoing man crisis, which produces ticking time bombs like this. And what's sad is we've got a whole lot of landmines all across this country. And again, it's a matter of if. It's not a matter of if these men explode, it's a matter of when. Now, if you want to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to learn more about what makes men like this self-destruct and participate in a spectrum of extremely violent behavior, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Man Crisis on Smashwords, the iBook store, and Google Play. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and ebook, The Man Who Rules the World. John Hayes must bring together men and gods to overcome a threat that seeks to destroy the planet. The Man Who Rules the World. Now available in paperback and e-readers everywhere.